Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Tim with InflatableOffice and Event Office, and I'm going through some more iPhone new features for you today. And I'm really excited. We've done numbers and groups and extensions and recordings, and today I'm going to do a big one. It's called ring schedules, and that's probably all I'm going to do today, just because there's a lot in there, and I try to keep these short. So schedules. What does that mean? Well, if you've used any sort of service like Ring Central or Google Voice, you may have an idea already, but what we call ring schedules is basically some sort of filter or rule that decides when a phone number is going to ring. All right. So your IO phone is basically a forwarding number that forwards, and there's no true device attached to that, no phone attached to that you can pick up. Instead, it forwards to other numbers which have phones attached to them that you can pick up. Okay. I hope that makes sense. So in this demo account, you see that we only have one number here. Remember we talked before about how you can have multiple numbers now? So you can have multiple numbers in this ring schedule. So any number as an inbound number listed up here is going to then use this ring schedule. The next thing we see here is whether this ring schedule is active or not. So this is a very useful thing. We didn't have it before. You actually had to come in here and change your ring schedule if you didn't want it to ring. But let's say someone goes on vacation, or let's say you have a ring schedule just set up for holidays. You can make that active or inactive at will. So whenever you want, you don't have to rebuild it. You can just set it active or inactive whenever you're ready to use it. The next field here is the name. Clearly, you're going to want to put a name on this. This might be our support uh, ring schedule. And this is, we probably would be a little more descriptive on that because I'm going to show you all the options that you can do with this. Um, these ring schedules can have a delay, and often you're going to use a delay. So you should have some ring schedules probably that are a zero delay unless you're using like a phone tree and extensions. Okay, there should pretty much always be a zero delay ring schedule so that when someone calls your inbound number, your one of at least one of your ring schedules is activated and someone is getting ringed, right? We don't want to miss the customer. We don't want to put a delay on, and 30 seconds into their call, it starts calling one of our staff members because they're going to hang up before that's done, right? So we're going to probably want a zero delay at least. But there's reason to have delays still. So let's say, you're the boss and you don't want to take a bunch of calls, but you want to get any calls that other people might be too busy to get. What you can do is you can set up yourself a ring schedule and stick a delay on there and maybe make it 5 or 8 seconds or something like that. Maybe even longer, maybe 15 seconds. And in that way, if someone hasn't answered that call yet, your schedule will kick in because you'll hit that delay marker and it'll start ringing your phone. And that gives you, just that opportunity to not get interrupted a lot, but also to make sure you're not missing a call. So that's a really cool feature. And we did that before. What's new here is this extension only box. So we never used to allow for extensions to be used at the same time as ring schedules, and that's all changed now. We're giving you the ability to do both. Okay. So in the case of an extension only, so there are occasions where you might say that I only want to use this for extension purposes. You would check this, and in that case, you do not want a delay on this ring schedule because you don't want this ring schedule to pick up before they press that number. So what happens is we disable the delay and we wait instead for the extension number to be pressed. And that extension, we showed you how to set up. You would take this ring schedule name and put it in for that extension so that we would know that extension corresponds with this ring schedule. Okay. So for this case, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to set that because that's probably, I guess it could be 50-50. I would say it's less common the way I use it, but it may be very common to use that if you're going to do a phone tree. So we give you the option, just like before, to do caller ID. What number do you want us to show in your personal phone as it's getting rang? Do you want to see the company number, which would be the inbound number that they dialed, or do you want to see the actual customer's number? So you have the option to see that. Now remember, whenever you pick up your phone, it doesn't immediately answer. It's going to say that you have a customer calling in, and then you'll know oh, this is not a personal call. I can either take it or not take it. And it's pressing, you press any key if you want to take it. And once you press that key, you're connected to the caller. Of course, if someone else in your office is faster than you, you wouldn't be connected. But that's how that works. So you don't have to worry about what number you see in your phone and whether you should answer it or not. You can put your customer's number in there, and then you can just listen for the prompt when you pick up. The other thing you're going to want to assign here is at least a worker, or if you wanted to, you can assign a group. I don't have any groups in here, but if we wanted to have, if this was support, we would probably want a support group that included a couple of different workers and their numbers, okay? And remember, you can have it ring multiple numbers for the same worker. That's also a possibility. So we could create a group for Jim that has maybe 2 or 3 of his phone numbers, and then we're not deciding what number of Jims we want to ring. We just want to ring Jim, right? But most cases you're going to put a group or a worker in here, and you're going to see the number, and it just kind of shows you what it's going to be calling, so you can see that. The next thing that we see here is the schedule, and you'll see that we put a time zone here for all of you that have multiple locations in your Inflatable Office account, multiple locations across the US. We've taken location out of the number. It used to be that you could have one number per location or per account, and now that's not the case. We'll let you have as many as you want. We no longer restrict by location. So if you're in a multi-location account, it's very important that you look at this time zone when you're setting up your schedule here, because you would need to know, and in those cases, I would have named this probably based on my location. Maybe I'd call it main business number, Kansas, so I know where I'm at and what that incoming number is for. I would want to then, make sure if this is not set to central, I would want to make sure that I'm adjusting my times to make it make sense for central. But what you're going to do is come down here and you're going to add in your hours for what times, you want this phone to ring, okay? And this affects your statistics as well. So when we go and look at missed calls for your employees, we look at these hours and we say, well, they didn't get a call, they missed it, but it wasn't their fault, right? Because they weren't actually on the schedule to get a call. So that shows differently. The last thing I want to show you here at the very bottom is our filter section. And if you know anything about Inflatable Office, you know that we love filters. Filters make it possible for us to do all sorts of great and complicated things. So in these filters, you can do cool things like I want to include or exclude anything in XYZ filter. So I only have one filter set up in this demo account. That filter, it doesn't make sense for what we're doing with the phone thing, but basically what you could do with filters is you could say, okay, anybody in my account that is renting wedding type stuff, I may want to include them in this filter and send them to these people, to Kim here, because she can handle all that. Maybe anybody who is maybe you would set up a separate one that said, I want to exclude anything that is in the wedding filter because I'm going to send them to someone other than Kim. And so that's how you could use filters, and you can make them pretty complicated. You can add multiple filters if you want to get what you want. And that's where I think one of the greatest features of iPhone is that you can filter and send calls where you want them. One thing you could do is on the weekend or weeknights, when you're not open, you could set it up so those filters go to your drivers. You could say, okay, anybody calling in off hours that has an event going on, I want to immediately forward that call to my drivers. And maybe you want to make a backup ring schedule that says, if my driver hasn't answered in 8 seconds, I want it to ring, someone who's on call from the office, maybe the boss or whatever. So we give you all this flexibility with these ring schedules. And we've added a lot of additional functionality to it. I hope you guys enjoy it. And I'm going to go finish this one right now, and we're going to talk, I think next time we're going to go through some of these other ones here. We have some really exciting things coming with custom rules, and I can't wait to show you that. So we'll talk soon. Thanks.